Now the sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops, and it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Hello everybody. Over the past 40 years or so, I've really been blessed to be able to make my living doing what I love to do, and that's fish. My job has afforded me the opportunity to travel and fish many different places throughout the United States, as well as Canada and Mexico. But of all the different and exciting places, such as lowland, midland, and highland reservoirs, to natural lakes, canyon impoundments, to oxbows, sloughs, ponds, and swamps, my favorite by far is moving water. Maybe it's because this was the type of area I grew up on, and maybe it's simply the challenge moving water offers. Possibly it's the scenery and wildlife, or the constant wondering what lies just around the next bend. Whatever the reason, moving water is a very special place to me. And with that said, I'd like for you to join me as we fish just one of the jillions of small moving water tributaries that America has to offer right here in my home state, Tennessee. There's something magical about places of this type. You're almost overwhelmed by the power of its life and motion. It never quits calling you on to move upstream, or like I said, around just one more bend. Here you'll find fellowship with all kind of creatures you would seldom see if you were stalking down a brushy wooded shoreline. Once here, you're a big fan of this wild place. You're in a world of your own. It's yours whether you're here for a few hours or a day. I feel a lot bigger in that current. Get all that, those little hooks all in them. Not a bit. Toodaloo. When most anglers think of a bass, they seem to overlook the fabulous population of these fish that live in our many waterways. These super little fisheries provide extremely fertile water, an excellent forage base, plenty of cover and structure, which in turn form an ideal habitat. Now let me show you the bait that we're using today. It's called a weak crawl, manufactured by Rebel, and let me tell you, it's a fish catching Jessie. Poor rascal. Better got the whole thing in his mouth. For a little smallmouth. Come here, buddy. Long, skinny thing. Easy now. Come here. My goodness.
Bill Dance Outdoors. Sponsored by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. And by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Today's Conditions Log, brought to you by Wormville, USA, bringing you big fat red worms and nightcrawlers from the nation's largest worm farm for 30 years. Wormville, USA, fish love 'em.
You know, creek fishing, you really never know what size fish you're gonna catch. There's days you'll catch a lot of little fish, and there's days you'll be surprised. You'll catch a couple of good fish. I've caught some good fish in this creek. I've caught some nice sized smallmouth too. Caught nice largemouth. It's not really the size of the fish you catch or the numbers of the fish you catch. It's just a fun way to fish. Look at that one come right up to the top and grab it. That's a pretty little fish. We used to catch these things when I was a youngster. We called them black perch, but they're little rock bass. Little red eyes. Yeah, pretty little fish. I used to catch a string of them and carry them home and get my grandmother to cook them, fry them up. Look how pretty that little fish is. Red eyes. We called them black perch. I mean, it's just solid white meat. Normally, bass are usually much easier to locate and catch in places of this type than they are in a big, large lake, simply because there's less area to fish. Think of a creek as having three kinds of water: fast, shallow water, in-between water, and slow, deep water. And in all these situations, the current will vary greatly. The largemouth prefers slow to non-current areas, whereas the Kentucky or spotted bass and smallmouth bass prefer areas as close to the fast current as they can get, and even sometimes right in it, especially during the warmer water periods. Just getting it. Come up here, buddy. Come up here, buddy. I got a mess. Wait a minute. Watch how fast he goes back out. Shoo, gone. You know, you're sitting here and catching little 3/4 pound, pound and a quarter bass, and you might catch a Kentucky or a spotted bass, and then a smallmouth, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're surprised and you catch a 4 or 5 pound largemouth when you least expect it. Days you go and you don't catch a fish. You don't catch a fish over 2 pounds. But if it's size you're looking for, you probably need to go somewhere else. But it's just pure enjoyment. Taking a light action rod, light line, small lures, getting out. Wading down a creek. Nothing like it. But nice. A pretty creek bass right there. Woo! Okay. Gonna say bye, baby. Take off.
Today's show is brought to you by Zebco, teaching America to fish since 1949. Pure Marine Odor Eliminator eliminates foul fish odors from gear, compartments, and empty live wells. And Tracker Boats, fish the finest.
Today's equipment log is brought to you by Gamakatsu, because the fish of a lifetime only comes once in a lifetime. Today's show is sponsored by Monster Marine Lithium. Lighter, stronger, longer. Bill Dance exclusive rods by Quantum. We have an action for you. And by Garmin. Fight your fish, not your fish finder.
Better fish there. Kick him out of the top. Like we said many times, an angler who can master creek and river fishing techniques, regardless of size, normally can be an excellent angler on a lake, but not necessarily the other way around. One needs to be able to read the visible shoreline structure as well as the surface current and have a keen awareness of lure presentation and control as well. You know, these little Rebel crawfish, they make them in a lot of different sizes, but they work in so many different places. They work in a creek, they work in a river, a pond, a lake. We've caught fish everywhere on them. Big ones, they make them, like I say, from a little teeny size all the way up to great big bass sizes. I mean, great big ones like that. But they produce, and they produce well, because crawfish are the main forage in a bass's diet. Good fight there. This is where I learned to fish. Places just like this. And I learned a lot about fishing. My granddaddy taught me a lot about fishing these type places. How to read moving water, how to fish eddy water, how fish position themselves at the mouth of little ditches, on the down current ends of shoals, around objects. It's a type of place where it all started for Bill Dance. And this old memory here of this wonderful fish that I think of quite often is what brought me back. He's up under something. Now here he comes. There he comes. That's something. Oh, look at the size of that fish right there. Look at the size of that. All right, come on back. Boy, I'd love to see him do that. Like mine. Look at that. Not a nice one. All right, I'm gonna turn you loose. It's important to remember that each creek, big or small, is gonna have its own course, contour, speed, and configuration. But there's one key that is common to the majority of creeks you fish. And that key feature is called an eddy. And it's what moving water fishing is all about. Now, if you're not familiar with the word and what it is, well, let me explain. An eddy is a current that runs in the opposite direction of the main flow. It's normally slack water caused by a current break. Now, a current break is an obstruction such as a log, a stump, a piling, a dike, a land point extending out into the creek, or even a hole or a depression that lies on the floor of the creek bed. Eddies can move either horizontally, vertically, or both. Now, to get a better idea of this, try to visualize a strong current rushing into an object. Water spins out and around, over, and sometimes downward. It's important to remember that any time flowing water strikes an obstruction, it does two things. One, it changes speed, and secondly, it changes direction. Regardless of direction, spinning or swirling water creates either a slow water moving zone or slack area.
The Bill Dance Question and Answer of the Week, brought to you by Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. Whether you're fishing for panfish, bass, catfish, or light saltwater, we have the action for you. Available at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
You know who likes to eat red worms? This guy right here. Springtime means it's panfish time, and red worms are a mighty fine treat for a hungry bluegill. Put one on your hook and watch your bobber go under. It's just that easy, especially when you use these big, fat, juicy 3-inch worms from Wormville. Check them out at Walmart near you and your local bait shop.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Cast King Tri-Polymer and Hammer Braid Fishing Lines, and by Garmin Force Trolling Motors. Fish with force. Closed captioning provided by PowerPole.
The original shallow water anchor. Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin and their GPS map series, Shark Plotter Sonar Combos, with their advanced sonar technology. Like Panoptic's Live Scope all-seeing sonar, you'll spend less time finding your fish.
Hey, for those of you who prefer to stand and fish for hours and need a little bit of relief, well, I've got the answer for you. It's the Puma Force Boat Seat. It has Comfort Max Contour tight sling seats, breathable cool fabric, which promotes fast drying, and is mold and mildew resistance. All aluminum construction and has a 1-year warranty. Try one. You're gonna love it.
Come be part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube.
Follow us.
Cool. Nice one. Pretty fish. Going all around. Nice smallmouth. Okay, come on up here, Buster. A horizontal eddy usually forms where the main current flows out and around a point, and a vertical eddy forms where the force of water is pushed upward after striking an obstruction in the main current flow. These are the places that are home to many small fish simply because it's a survival location and the location that attracts the whole food chain. Bait fish, insects, and so forth are washed from the fast flow into the transitional water and then into the calmer zone. Game fish know this, and they use eddy water as their #1 location for feeding. Keep in mind that all eddies are not going to be productive, simply because some eddies have a reverse current that's too strong. Okay, when you locate one, whether either a slack or slow current exists, you'll usually find one that the slackest water occurs in front and in back of almost every obstruction, and the same applies for horizontal eddies that form below a point or at a creek mouth. Eddies are very recognizable for the most part. Look for visible swirls, boils, and current flowing in the opposite direction. Floating debris can be a good tip-off. Pretty, pretty little fish. Oh, watch it. Watch it. Deal's out again. Pop that out like that. They like that little. Another neat little one. Watch how fast he goes out. Shoom! Another thing when you're wading and you get a big fish on with light tackle are the hooks in the lure, especially if you don't have on long pants or waders. A good fish is hard to control in the current on this mini gear, and they can make quick, fast moves and hook you. I mean, they can hook you up before you can lift your leg out of the water. To be sure, there are numerous places along creeks where fish can be caught, but my favorites by far are the eddy waters we've just discussed. These are the type places that I have the most confidence in, and it's been my experience that it's here where I catch most of my fish time after time, year after year. Learn to recognize and fish eddies, and you'll have improved your fishing success dramatically. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.